Hey, welcome, amazing Illumineers. We're here to see what cards might be reprinted in set 13, Attack of the Vine. There's a lot, so let's get started. As always, I'm your host, Gentle Olaf. There's a lot of Lorcana content creators out there. What sets me apart is... Anyway, let's move on to assumptions for what could be reprinted. I'm going to assume that Ravensburger is not going to make the mistake they made in Fabled and reprint a bunch of vanilla cards. I'm also going to assume that set 13 will have much fewer reprints than Fabled did. I'm guessing around 45 cards. I'm also going to assume that Ravensburger will try to bring as many people into the game as possible and print a few fun cards that will not see competitive play. I'm coming from a more competitive Lorcana grinder background, but I'm going to try to imagine just a casual player and figuring out what Ravensburger will reprint. And they've already made their decisions. My guess is they've made these decisions sometime in December or January, what they want back in set 13. And I'm also not going to read every single card. I'm assuming anyone watching this video knows what they do. I'll stay enough time on each slide so that you can read each card in case you need them. And I think we need to discuss why cards are not going to be reprinted. Obviously, Hiram Flaversham is too powerful even for Infinity. We're not going to see it back in Core. But there could be another reason, is that the card is already existing in another form in Core, which is why we're not going to see our favorite cards return. And of course, they could just be power crept out of the format where they don't do anything anymore. And lastly, they could create feel bads where the games become one-sided when a certain card is played, or they're just unfun in some other way. We're going to discuss a few that unfortunately hit that. But let's get started with Ariel. She's made Singer decks work since the very beginning of the game, and I think she's too powerful for Core. She does too much. She gets you the card that you need, and she can sing it powerfully above rate. So I don't think we're going to see it in Core. Piglet, that could be safe for Core. However, I think it's still too powerful. It almost always quests for 3 in your decks, and it's very hard for control decks to deal with it. And sometimes those early lore boosts are enough to make the game unreachable. And Kita, I think, would be safe, except for Under the Sea. Being able to do a one-sided board wipe very easily is something that I think Core doesn't want to do. Obviously, Prince Philip has kind of proved me wrong there, but I think Kita actually moves down to very unlikely to be reprinted in the new format. Moving on, we have a discard enabler in Amber from the very beginning of the game is too powerful. We don't like discard, and it's a 2-for-1. I don't think we're seeing it come back. And Tramp, unfortunately, is too powerful. It just does too much. It does similar to Ariel. If you have a lot of characters in play, you can bring this out early. And it sings all the most powerful songs in the game all by itself. And if you have a lot of characters, it helps you find that very powerful Under the Sea or Circle of Life. We're not going to see it back in Core. And Lady can be a 3-for-1. I think that's just a little too powerful for Core, but I wouldn't be shocked if that does somehow get reprinted in Attack of the Vine. Moving on, Cinderella, we already have her at home. Angel is here, and she is not the exact same, but enough of a replacement, we're not going to see Cinderella come back. Same with Troubadour. We already have Ursula from Fabled. We're not going to see my favorite singing tortoise back in Core, unfortunately. Rapunzel is interesting. I think it's safe in terms of power level. However, we already have a similar option now with Ohana Means Family. The fact that it doesn't come with a 2-questing character on the back end after you've drawn your cards, it does make it a lot worse, but I do not think we're going to see Rapunzel come back. Also, both of these cards do create a weird trap for you if you're playing against Amber, because you're doing everything right, you're questing with your characters, making good challenges, and all of a sudden they punish you with a high willpower character, swing in, remove a bunch of damage, draw a bunch of cards, and it feels bad. Just be aware of this trap. It does happen. All competitive players back and, Boomer guys, we all remember the Rapunzel trap. There's also the Ohana trap now. Do not fall for it if they have a high willpower character. Be careful against Amber when you exert any of your characters. Mufasa, I love this card. It's so fun. It made a lot of decks viable back in the beginning of the game. But we have his son, which is, if you have enough ink, much better. But I don't think we're going to see Mufasa come back in core as much as I love this card. And Bare Necessities, again, we have Mowgli. There's still a chance we could see this in core because Amber's identity, part of it is removing those big sweepers that can get rid of all of your small guys. But Mowgli kind of does the job. Snow White, maybe. We all love our princesses, but Widow Tweet is here, so I think that she is unlikely to get reprinted. They both do the same thing. Bring a card from your discard back to hand. And this card has always been just unplayable from the very beginning. I tried making it work, and it did not. And we have a much better option now. We are not going to see just-in-time return. And this is a rare case where the new card is literally strictly better. This is the definition of power creep. For that reason, we're not going to see Neverland because we already have Zootopia Tundra Town. I'm more unplayable. No, I'm more unplayable. I'm more likely to be turned into ink. I'm more likely to be disappointed when played. Both of these cards are not going to see reprint, even though they're legendaries. They were never good. They aren't going to be good. We're moving on. There is a chance that one of these cards could be reprinted. Amber's identity is making things cheaper, and using characters to do it is a fun way to do it. However, there are better options in the format. Between the two, I think Doc is a little bit more likely, but I wouldn't be shocked if either get reprinted. And Minnie Mouse. There's a chance that one of these could be reprinted. Both can have very powerful effects in the right deck. But between the two, I believe the legendary Minnie Mouse will win out, and there is a chance that Ravensburger will resurrect a legendary from set 5 to 8 that did not do anything in that core constructed, that has the potential to maybe do something in the new season. Moving on, there has always been songs as part of Amber's identity, and being able to gain a lore whenever you play a song has won tournaments before. Between these two, I feel like Alan Adale is more likely to win out because I think having a character do this is a little bit safer than an item, which is harder for most decks to interact and remove if they need to. Moving on, Lilo and Stitch is very popular. I would be shocked if one of these did not get reprinted in Attack of the Vine. Between the two, I feel like Lilo Escape Artist does more, especially with set 12 having a lot of, if your card enters the discard, you get an additional effect. I feel Escape Artist will win this tug of war. I do believe that one of these will probably be reprinted in the new format. Ravensburger's made it clear that they do want aggressive Amber decks, and both of these enable it. Between the two of these, I believe that Tiana is a bit more fair, even though both feel very unfair when you're playing against them if you're playing the wrong deck. But Daisy Duck is just a little bit too powerful with the high willpower for its cost. I do not see it being reprinted. Tiana, I think, will be reprinted in Attack of the Vine. And we have a few other enablers for the aggressive decks. I feel like one of these could easily be reprinted between the two. I feel like Invited to the Ball is a little bit more likely. Giving you a reward for having an all-character deck is something that Amber has been doing since the very beginning. But I wouldn't be shocked if either or neither of these get reprinted in Attack of the Vine. And I think some dogs are safe to come back. I do feel like both of these would be very fun cards. I wouldn't be shocked if either of these get reprinted. Between the two, I believe that Perdita's time is here. I feel like this legendary will be a little bit less powerful in the new format and worth exploring. And I'm guessing that Ravensburger will agree with me on that one. And Simba here, I believe, is going to be reprinted mostly because it's one of the most sought after promo cards on the DLC circuit. And it also is a legendary that hasn't really seen that much play in sets 5 through 8 or even 9 through 11. So I feel like Ravensburger is going to bring this back. And I do believe that the Bodyguard Simba shift target here would also be a strong contender for being reprinted in Attack of the Vine. Most likely they will reprint a new Simba to be a shift target for Pride Protector, but we will see. And again, I do believe that songs are important, and Prince Naveen has been very powerful at times. It hasn't seen play lately, but there's no reason to see that it can't be returning. I do think it will return for Attack of the Vine. I don't think that Mickey Mouse will come back. There's always been the hint of the Bodyguard deck, and it's just never worked out. Like, if they do reprint some very strong bodyguards and make that a viable format, I can see Mickey Mouse returning, but not yet. And here we have the one-drop Stitch that isn't around, even though we have the Rockstar Stitch. And conversely, the Queen Floodborn is not back in core, even though we have the one-drop Queen that is a perfect shift target. Between the two of these, I feel like the Queen Commanding Presence will be coming back. It can be a very strong card, but it is easy to deal with. It only has 3 willpower. Usually it will just quest one time, get the strong effect, and then another character will take it out. So I think it is fine to come back in core, and I do believe that Ravensburger wants to give Amber some very powerful character aggro tools, and the Queen will help with that. As for moving on to the Queen Sensor Core, this is a very fun card. If it were me, it never saw competitive play. I never thought it was a good card, but because it's fun, there is a chance that Ravensburger will reprint it. I know a lot of casual players love this card. Maybe Ravensburger agrees with that. And these legendaries never saw play, even though they're both quite powerful. They both have a chance of coming back. I think between the two of these, Goofy is a little bit more likely to return, especially since Amber's identity of also being a very healing color could come back and make this viable, especially with the new blue-yellow Mirabelle deck that they're trying out in set 12. Let's find out. And here we have a few characters that deal with the discard or reducing cost on your characters. Chernabog, I think, would be safe for the format. Without all the dogs running around, it might be interesting to see Chernabog come back and see what it does in core. Hades, of course, can be very powerful in the right deck. It's a little bit too weak, I think, and wouldn't see very competitive play, but it is very fun. Pride Lands, there have been times where this deck has actually worked, making all of your characters free, play a bunch of them. We do have Rockstar Stitch, that if you do have a lot of very low-cost characters for free, you can draw a bunch of cards, potentially draw out your whole deck. It might be fun to see that deck come back, and we do see a lot of locations returning. And same with the Underground could come back. I don't think so, but it is worth paying attention to. I don't want anyone to be blindsided if all of a sudden it does come back in Attack of the Vine. And here we have some other Amber enablers. We see that characters not being able to be challenged has been a big theme in Winter Spell. So because of that, Snow White here could be coming back, as well as Tiana's Palace. We do see, of course, the location support. And Vanellope here is both a princess and a racer. The racer deck is very fun. Again, has not been very competitive, but I wouldn't be shocked to see her come back and a few of her racer friends in Attack of the Vine. But the racer card that I feel is most likely to come back from Amber is Sugar Rush Speedway. It's always fun trying to make this deck work, and it has seen a little bit of competitive success here or there. It's an incredibly fun deck to move a character here and gain 3 lore and 3 cards. And with that, that is my end of Amber. I want to thank you all for joining me, and the other colors are coming soon. Stay amazing. Look forward to hear in the comments which cards I did not discuss that you think actually will be coming back. Have a great day, everybody.